Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Live Sim Racing TV here as we get set to roll into our LSR broadcast tonight of the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Garry Mercer Trucking. I'm Jacob Seelman alongside Tim Masters here up in the broadcast tower tonight. Carl Jones going to be joining us from pit road here shortly as we get closer and closer to the green flag. Open qualifying going to wrap up here in just a few moments. Tim, first off, glad to be back up here in the tower, ready to rock and roll with race 13 of the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series season. And I'll tell you, with the way the weather is so far today, we may be in for one of two things. We're either going to be in for a dandy of a race, or we're going to be in for what I might describe as a caution fest.
Well, Jacob, this is going to be a doozy of a night. Already the wind is crazy, kind of like you mentioned here. Practice was very entertaining to watch, and so was qualifying. But specifically here, there have been 8 different winners out of the first 12 races of the season. In this series, 4 drivers have received their first FTC wins this season, including Eric Brundles, Jonathan Cadell, and Scott Simley, and CJ LeVar. So, who will be the first driver to win 3? That's the big question tonight.
It is the big question tonight, and it's going to be a very interesting question to answer. I mean, we're looking at Brundles. He's provisionally 3rd on the qualifying charts right now, and it's going to be interesting to see. I think you've got to look at Brundles as the favorite. He's the points leader coming into tonight. We'll get to a full look at the championship points in just a moment, but looking at this, track positions I think is going to be key. You're going to want to be up front and trying to avoid as much of the potential mishaps at the back of the pack as you can. The wind is going to be a brutal foe tonight for all of these drivers, and it's going to be really interesting to see how it shakes out. I would not be surprised for us not to see a 3-time winner, but rather see a first-time winner tonight with as many variables as these drivers are going to have to face.
Jacob, I've watched some of these Michigan races play out this week on the public servers in iRacing, and it tends to be very exciting. And when I say exciting, I mean cars running into each other and then, putting stripes along the outside wall. It seems to be that's the order of the day here at Michigan. Coming out of turn 2 is extremely difficult. You've got to hit the arc just right, or else you're going to slide up into the wall as you come out of the turn, and then exiting turn 4, if they've got their car set up just a little bit too loose and you get on the throttle a little too hard, it's going to spin you around. You're going to end up going down pit row as opposed to going down the front stretch.
That's absolutely right, and that is the last place you want to be under green flag conditions, unless, of course, you're at the end of a fuel run. But, Tim, another of the variables that we've watched so far this season is the points battle, and let's get to that right now. We were talking about Eric Brundles earlier in the night. He has been remarkably consistent so far this season. 2 wins, 9 top 5s, 10 top 10 finishes, average finish of 6th. He leads the points by 30 markers right now, and when you consider a 43-1 system. He's got almost a full race lead right now as we go into race 13 here tonight.
He sure does, and with 12 races in, that's one heck of a stat there. I'm going to keep my eye on Thomas George tonight. He's also doing pretty well. Had a great practice run, too. He seems to work well with the other drivers, and it's going to take a lot of patience to make it for the duration of this race. It's not just about where you start this race. We all know it's about where you finish it, but all that stuff in the middle counts, too, and patience will be key for our drivers tonight.
Yes, it will be, absolutely. Brundy's, Rhett McBride, second in points, 30 back. Jonathan Cadell, 62 back. Thomas George, you just mentioned him. He's fourth in points, and Steve Gottschalk the top 5. Tim, let's go ahead and take a look at the starting lineup here tonight following qualifying. We'll go row by row here. On the pole, the number 85 tonight of Adam Benefiel, a qualifying time of 37.834 seconds nets him the pole. Outside of him, the number 60, John Higman Jr.
Starting in row 2 on the inside, Eric Brundys. And outside row 2 in 4th position, Jonathan Cadell.
The 2 of our points guys that we talked about. Row number 3, inside the 41 tonight of Nathan Little, and outside the 2 of Bobby Terrell.
Inside on row 4, Justin M. Wilson. And on the outside, Jose Gonzalez in the 26th.
Moving to row 5, starting 9th in the number 1, Thomas George, one of the guys you're keeping your eye on, and starting 10th in the number 42, Scott Stenzel.
Row 6 bringing in the 89 of Jamie Moore, and on the outside of row 6 is the 91 of Steve Gottschalk.
Row 7, inside, starting 13th, the number 68 of Scott Simley, outside the number 29 of Brennan Mercer.
Ooh, the number 6 of Dan Murray on the inside in the next row there, and C.J. LeVar in the number 4 taking the outside line at the start of this race.
Row 9 finds Matt Lacrosse and Brian Harvey, and row 10 tonight, the 48 of Kevin Linden and the 10 of John Abbott.
Row 11, Eric Arnold in the 31 and E.J. O'Rourke on the outside.
Row 12 tonight finds Nathan Bowers in the 03 and the 13 of Michael Woolley, and row 13 tonight in the 78, Brandon Peterson. Outside of him, the 27 of Guy Snyder.
In our last 2 rows tonight, we've got Jose Malbrin and L. Bryce Whitson Jr., followed by Keith Brooks Jr., and rounding up our leaders here today, starting 30th, Ed Williams Jr. in the 65. I'm not showing him gritting right now. Is he out there?
I'm looking right now, don't see him yet. I know he did not take a qualifying lap, so we will wait to see. But what we're looking at is 30 cars for 90 laps, the race distance. 180 miles here tonight in the Garry Mercer Trucking Michigan 180, round 13 of the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. I'm looking forward to it, Tim. I know you're looking forward to it, and Adam Benefiel, he's got the best starting spot of all as they roll into turn number 3 on the pole.
Oh, Jacob, it'll be a doozy tonight. I'm hearing spotters tell us that Thomas George is on the track. He's just getting back into position there. As we get started for this race, remember the wind's going to be a factor, position's a factor, and patience is a factor in this one. You're in for a real treat, race fans.
Yes, you are. Pace car makes that hard left peel to pit road. Adam Benefiel takes the green flag as we've got trouble back in the pack. One car hard into the wall coming to the start-finish line as we were going for green, and then a melee out back as we have got carnage. About 12 or maybe even 14 cars already wadded up at the start-finish line, Tim. That is not the start that we wanted to see for this race at all.
Jacob, I'm seeing what must have happened here. Jonathan Cadell in the 11, his car jumped out on him at that restart. And here at Michigan, these cars can get squirrely if you hit the gas just a little too hard on the restarts. So his car jumped out to the wall, and that caused him to lose just a little bit of control. And yep, collected a couple other cars there and some damage to some of our fellow racers trying to avoid that incident.
And I was looking at that. I'm not sure that the 60 of John Higman didn't quite get going there on that initial start. He came down a little bit slow. It almost seemed like it bottlenecked that outside lane just a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're right. He did kind of jerk up just a hair there. That 60 car did, but he had to get out of the throttle in order to regain it, and that may have thrown Jonathan Goodell off of his game there, so to speak, real quick. And he had to correct. And under these slow speeds, believe it or not, it's difficult to correct the way you want to when you're trying to get up to speed.
So definitely not the start that we wanted to see for this race, not even a lap in, and we are already under caution in tonight's Garry Mercer Trucking Michigan 180. Carl Jones, you're down there on the pit lane and want to welcome you into the broadcast here tonight. Are you hearing anything down there on the pit road so far?
Jonathan Goodell, he just came over the radio, said he just spun the tires and it took off on him. That's what I'm hearing right now. We got a bunch of cars coming in right now, lots of damage on the Goodell car, and yeah, that's all I got right now for you. He just said he spun the tires.
So tough break for Goodell and for a bunch of cars in this field. I'm looking right now, seeing maybe, Tim, 7 cars that got through that without some semblance of damage along the way. Benefiel, Brundys, Higman, Terrell, Nathan Little, Justin Wilson, and trying to find Jamie Moore. I believe he got through that as well. He was towards the back of the field and may have just slammed on the brakes and stopped to avoid that one.
Yeah, you know, it's a shame that we have to deal with crashes here at the beginning of the race, but you know what? This weekend in NASCAR, the big series of them all, they were crashing all over the place. It took them forever to get going at Michigan, you know, in the real live event. So let's not be too hard on the guys here. I know I've run at Michigan this week too, and on the public iRacing servers, and I've spun my tires as well, had to regain control. Don't blame Jonathan on this one. I know he claimed ownership of that, and that's awesome as a racer, but it's harder than you think to get these things going, especially at Michigan with these slick tires.
That's absolutely right. I mean, you got to figure, you saw guys like Kyle Larson have problems in that Cup race, and we had 2 cautions in the first 6 laps in that event on Sunday. So it's not an easy track to drive at all here. So it's definitely not the way we wanted to start this race, but we're going to try and get it back going here shortly, seeing some cars now come out of the pit area. And now the story, Tim, is going to be the disparity between the guys who made it through that wreck unscathed and the guys who do have damage. It's going to be very interesting to see what kind of traffic we have to deal with. These leaders may be in for a little bit of a tough time here later on in this race.
You got a point, Jacob. This is a deceptive track. So I say that because, just an update here, our lights are back out on the pace car. They're going to go ahead and take another lap under caution to get everybody lined up. But back what I was talking to about this being a deceptive track. See, you can get in speeds in excess of 200 miles an hour, very close, if not 2 to 210 miles per hour down these straightaways here. So you're thinking, oh man, I've got some speed, it's fun, hey, I've got to run on the car in front of me, and then suddenly you're coming out of the corner and it's like, oh wait a minute, this is not good, the car's not doing what I thought it was going to do, and then bam, you're into the wall. So it's a deceptive track, and that's going to be the challenge, because it gives drivers a false sense of, hey, I got this, when in fact you might just have the wall.
So I guess we're about ready to find out here, find out exactly what's going to be going on. Right now I'm showing 20 cars on the lead lap. So we've got 10 cars at least now that are 1 lap down or more already, Tim. And boy, oh boy, we're going to gear up for a restart. And this time when we get the green flag, we are at least hoping that it's going to go better than the first one did, because that was not how we wanted to start this race.
Oh, I'm certain it will. I'm certain it will. LeBryce Whitson Jr. was just waved around the pace car. They're going to get him a lap back. You've got several other cars here, 2 other cars taking a lap around the pace car there. Looks like we're going to be going green next time by. That's what it appears here. But yeah, you're right. This is going to give our drivers a little bit of a dose of reality before we really get started here. Like, oh, hey, yeah, maybe I want to protect my race car and not take it so crazy here at the beginning of the race. And I think this will be good for the health of the rest of this race here. So we might have a little bit more cautious driving. It might take a while for us to take some more chances here after that first incident on the track.
So as we get ready to gear up for this restart, it's going to be the pole sitter, Adam Benefiel, out front. Eric Brundy's started third. He's now up to second, with John Higman going to restart third. Bobby Terrell fourth. Nathan Little, that's your top 5. Justin M. Wilson rides 6th. Jamie Moore 7th. Scott Simley 8th. Kevin Linden going to grid up 9th for this restart, and Eric Arnold 10th. And just as we've been saying, Tim, the story on this restart is going to be how well these cars that got a piece of that incident shake out with the cars that got through that incident, because damage on the iRacing service is a very, very fickle thing at times.
Yeah, you really don't know what you're going to get. Now, as the years go by, the iRacing damage model gets better and better. It truly does, and they came out with an update not too awful long ago that makes the damage even more realistic. So for some of us that's a favor, and for the rest of it, it's like, oh great, now I have to deal with a more damaged car. But the point of it is, it makes it as much like the real thing as possible. So yeah, could I hit the wall and then end up fixing my car and running at top speed again? Absolutely. The problem is, you're going to have to find the time to get in the pits and to keep your car, to get your car repaired. So that's what they're getting right now. You know, they're getting an opportunity to be in the pits, get that car fixed up. But here at Michigan, it is an advantage because it takes a while to do an entire lap around the track at pace speed. So that's going to be beneficial to any cars that have damage. But, you know, overall, you want to keep it clean so you don't even have to deal with that scenario.
Carl Jones, before we go back to green, any updates from pit road as the lights go out on the pace car?
As of right now, these guys are they're going to be throwing the 100-mile-an-hour, 200-mile-an-hour tape on these things, and they're going to go out and try to get as many laps in as they can. Everybody's saying that it's real slick out there today, so I guess we're going to have to be watching about it. They're saying about every 35 to 36 laps they're going to be having to pit, so we're going to be looking at probably 2 to 3 pit stops in this race.
2 pit stop race is what we understood most of these guys were going to try to make from the beginning. Maybe a 3rd pit stop if you need to get a little bit of a strategy play in. But Tim, it's funny that Carl mentions the 200-mile-an-hour tape there. iRacing doesn't show the bare bond, but boy, wouldn't that be fun to see.
Yeah, it would be neat if you could actually get that visual, and I'm sure we will in a year or two. You know, they keep improving the simulation with each new update that they come out with. So, but it is true, these cars do have tape. You know, it's a simulated tape that they use, but it has the same effect. You know, so the more tape you got, in theory, the faster you're going to go because you've got, you know, less drag on the car. But also, the quicker your engine's going to heat up. We have had some heating issues in engines during this race week in the public servers. So if you tuck in behind the guy in front of you and you stay there too awful long, you don't step out every once in a while to cool off your engine, you're going to have problems. Oh, pace car is in.
Here we go. On the gas is Adam Benefield. Green flag back in the air. We are back underway at Michigan, and Benefield takes off probably 5 car lengths. He grabs out in front, grabs a gear over Eric Brundy's as they head through turns 1 and 2, off turn 2 down the back straightaway. Brundy's now going to be on the charge.
That's right, and in iRacing, folks, iRacing, as soon as the pace car leaves the racing surface, you can take off, or you can wait for the green flag lights to come on, and then you can go. It's the driver's choice that's leading the field at the time of the pace cars moving away.
And Benefield has grabbed a gear, but the draft starting to pull him back to Eric Brundy's right there in that number 94 machine, the red and yellow car. Drafting back, he's about 4 car lengths now and gaining as they head through turns 1 and 2. Brundy's looks to have found something there, running about a half groove lower than Adam Benefield as they work down the back straightaway. Brundy's now, he's the man on the charge as he has been all season long, Tim. The points leader going to look to pad it tonight. He is on the march.
Jacob, I'd speculate that if Brundy's can catch Benefield within the first maybe 5 laps, then he's going to try and pass him. If he doesn't catch him, then he's probably just going to tuck in back there and see if they can't work together to move away from the field, you know, and gain some time on him. And then he'll just wait for an opportunity for Adam to mess up, and then he'll just, you know, slide right on by. But you definitely don't want to waste your tires trying to pass someone, especially if they're already fast early on in a run.
That's absolutely right. And I'll tell you what else I'm seeing right now. We're seeing that speed disparity that we were discussing under that caution flag starting to play out with guys with damage and guys that don't. Back to Kevin Linden at the tail end of the top 10 within 3 seconds of each other. From Brandon Peterson in the 78 and 11th on back, 7 seconds already. They've lost to race leader Adam Benefiel. So we're starting to see who's gotten tore up and who hasn't right now, because this field's starting to space out just a little bit as we watch Brundys blows it off turn 2. He is down to about 2 car lengths now, trying to catch that 85.
That's a good point there. Nathan Little's back here in the 41 car battling for 5th place. Almost caught Justin Wilson there, got right on his bumper. But as you'll see during the duration of this race, if you don't get that run, then you're going to have to let off at some point in order to negotiate the turn without hitting the wall. Oh, looks like the 58 got into the wall a bit, and so did the 41 there coming out of turn 4.
Woo! It's getting tight right here, and it's getting tight up front for the battle for the lead. A couple cars on pit road right now, and we're going to report from there here as we see service being done. Right now, though, this battle for the lead is getting closer and closer. Eric Brundys wants the top spot. You know, I said at the top of this broadcast, Tim, that I didn't think we were going to see a 3-time winner yet tonight, and Brundys trying to prove me wrong right here. He's closed the gap off turn 4 yet again. It seems like from about the exit of turn 4, he carries so much speed down the front straightaway. He really gets a run going into turn 1.
He does. You know, I'm not so worried about Adam or Eric up there running 1 and 2. They've got a good car. You know, they've got the speed to stay out front. That's evident here watching the first 12 laps. They pulled away from some folks. I'm watching right now the number 60 of John Hickman Jr. He's maintaining speed. He still hasn't caught those front 2 cars yet, but he hasn't faded back either. So I'm going to speculate that he's got a really good car. And then I also watched the 58 of Justin Wilson just kind of pull away from folks, got ahead of that second pack there, trying to catch up with the leaders. So really at this point, I don't think there's too much jockeying for position. It's really just, hey, let's maintain our line. Let's not wear out our tires. Remember, slower is sometimes faster. Let's not get into the corners too hot, because if we do, we're going to wear out those tires a little too early.
That's the key right there. You don't want to wear your tires out at this place, because when your tires go and you don't have any grip left, you are skating around so bad. It's all you can do not to slam that safer barrier, whether you're going through turns 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. It is just absolute chaos once you lose the grip in those tires. And I'm starting to see Benefiel start to pull away just a little bit. I think you're right. Eric Brundys has decided, okay, I guess we're just going to sit here and ride for just a little bit. But John Hickman, like you mentioned, Tim, he's doing what I like to call lurking. He's sitting there, sizing the front 2 up, not wanting to do anything too crazy right now. But if either one of them makes a mistake, he's going to be right there like a shark ready to chomp at the bit.
Yeah, these races here at Michigan, you know, especially our longer ones, these are endurance races, and they do produce a lot of crashes, but they also produce a lot of green flag runs there as we battle for 5th position back there, side by side down the stretch. But it's a mind game, you know, inside these cars, because you'll get spaced out just a little bit, you know, 2 or 3 car lengths with a car in front of you, and 2 or 3 car lengths till there's a car behind you. But the slightest little slip up, and you'll find that you're going to lose at least half a second of your ground on the car that's behind you. So corner entry is everything. Corner exit is also very important, because if you get on that throttle too soon, and we might see this later on, your back end's going to jump out on you as you come out of turn 4. It's not a fun experience when you feel the rear end of the car starting to swing around. It ain't supposed to do that.
No, it's not. And you mentioned it right there at the top of your little explanation, Tim. This battle for 5th is really starting to heat up. It is a 4-car scramble now. Nathan Little in the number 41 has pulled about 2 car lengths now ahead of the 2 of Bobby Terrell in 6th. But Terrell has got a pack of hungry hounds behind him as they work into turn number 3. Terrell trying to hold off the 68 of Scott Simley and the 31 of Eric Arnold off turn 4.
Oh, yeah. See, they're having a good time racing right now. These guys are probably friends. They probably race together a lot. You know, the folks here at RealSimRacing.com, great group of guys. This is their 13th race of the season. So they're probably familiar with one another too, and they know kind of who belongs where. As we have another change for position there in the 31. Oh, almost landed the pass, but as you can see, it's difficult. You know what? And that's a great point. You get in on the bottom there, and we talked about the illusions and the deceptions of this racetrack. When you go low, you think you've got the momentum and the speed to make the pass, but suddenly you find out you're tight in the middle of turn 2, and it's like, man, I got to get out of the gas or I'm going to hit the wall. And that's what you just saw happen in that battle for position.
That's absolutely right. So as we run here at lap number 18, let's give you a quick rundown of the top 10 right here. Adam Benefiel in the 85 leads this field. Got about a 3-car length advantage over points leader Eric Brundys in second. John Hickman Jr. rides third. Justin M. Wilson in fourth with Nathan Little running fifth. Bobby Terrell rides sixth. Scott Simley seventh. Eric Arnold in eighth. Kevin Linden now has moved up to ninth, and Jamie Moore completes the top 10. Tim, and right now, other than that battle for sixth, this field has really started to string out, and before too long, I think we're going to start to see lap traffic come into play.
Oh yeah, it will. Definitely will, especially with some damaged cars. You know, hopefully they're teaming up and working together. We already saw somebody just drop down low to let the pack by. But you know what? If you're a sim racing fan here and you don't have a home, you know, a league to join, a great group of guys to team up with here, visit realsimracing.com and check it out. See if there's a series here for you. We just had, I think Nathan Little got into the wall there, didn't he?
I believe he did scrape the wall just a little bit, Tim. I didn't get a good look at it, but I'm thinking that Nathan Little did just brush the wall there coming off turn number 2. Not sure if there's any damage to that machine, but boy, if there is, that is going to upset that car a little bit, and he's had a very strong run going so far tonight.
Okay, I just got a good look at his passenger side there, and it doesn't look too messed up. But, you know, one of the hidden things here in the simulation, if you hit that wall the wrong way, it can jack up your steering and make for a difficult night. I'm telling you, we would have known right away if that had happened to Nathan. Looks like his car's going to be okay, at least for the short term. But do remember, if you keep tapping that wall, it's going to start chipping away at your car, and your control is going to be affected, your speed's going to be affected, so you can't hit that wall too many times without starting to see a consequence or two.
And just as you say that, Tim, consequences maybe for the battle for the lead, working a little bit of lap traffic, and that's allowed Eric Brundys to really close in on Adam Benefiel. It was about 5 car lengths. It is now down to 2 as they work off of turn number 4, getting ready to complete lap number 21 right here. Brundys, though, trying to make another run at it as these leaders start to navigate lap traffic, and that's going to be a big key, I think, because of the number of damaged race cars we have on this racetrack tonight. You have got to be good in traffic if you want to win this race.
You know, having been into this position before, the position of the number 60 car of John Hickman Jr., he's sitting back there several car lengths behind the leaders, and he is saying, boy, howdy, this is a perfect scenario for me, because the leaders are wearing out their tires. They're battling for position. They want to be first. Both of them do. So John Hickman Jr. is sitting back there waiting for them to wear out their tires. He might have an opportunity to take the lead himself with ease here after about another 10 laps.
And in just a few laps here, we're going to be starting pit stops. But first, we have got some words right here that we need to take care of. We are going to take a caution flag here on LSRTV. Head to commercial. When we come back, we'll catch the leaders' pit stops and continue on in the Garry Mercer Trucking Michigan 180 for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. You're watching LSRTV from Michigan International Speedway. Welcome back to LSRTV here at Michigan International Speedway for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Garry Mercer Trucking in tonight's running of the Garry Mercer Trucking Michigan 180. I'm Jacob Seelman alongside Tim Masters up here in the broadcast booth. Tim, getting ready to complete 30 laps, 1/3 distance here at Michigan, and Adam Benefiel has been the dominant car from the start. He started on pole. He has led every lap so far tonight, but he has had a shadow all night long in the form of that red and yellow number 94 of Eric Brundys, the series points leader. Brundys has not let that 85 out of his sight, and I just get the feeling, as we were watching them during the commercial break, that Brundys is just kind of sitting here waiting. He's not wanting to show everything he's got right now, not wanting to lay all his cards on the table. He's just sitting there sizing Benefiel up, just waiting for either Adam to make a mistake or for go time, so to speak. And I just get the feeling we have not seen everything that 94 car has here tonight at MIS.
Jacob, the folks here at RealSimRacing.com have given us a show, a great show so far. 32 laps in. We've already had a caution come from some carnage on the start of the race, and then after that we've had good strategic racing going on, and I think you're on point there with Eric Brundys. He's playing a bit of a strategy game. I also think John Hickman Jr. is playing some strategy. And who's to say that Adam out front in the 85, maybe he's holding back just a little bit too. Really, we talked about it at the beginning of this race, and survival is key. We see it time and time again here on LSRTV, and protecting your car so that you can be there at the end of the race to make that winning move is the most important thing that you can do to better your chances at a good finish at these racetracks.
That's absolutely right, and I'm sitting here watching this right now, and another one of the things, we talked about the wind at the top of the show, Tim, and it's coming right now, it looks like, off of turns 3 and 4, and what that's really doing is that is making it very, very difficult for a lot of these guys to get to pit road. I've seen 4 or 5 guys so far, as they've worked off turn 4, they have had a really hard time woeing that car up to be able to make the hard left peel onto pit road. That is going to be the key for these leaders when they come down to make their pit stops. We're expecting here in about 2 laps or so. That's going to be the key, is getting onto pit road, because if you don't hit your marks, you're going to lose a ton of time once you get to your pit stop.
I'm telling you, I'm over here laughing at myself while you're talking, because wind at the racetrack is like a slap in the face to all the hard work you did getting your setup ready. It's like, oh yeah, I practiced under these practice conditions, and the weather was this way, you know, and the track temperature was that way, and that's how I set up my car, and I've got the best car in the world. I'm ready to go to the race and win this thing. And you get there, and suddenly there's like 8 or 15 mile per hour wind coming out of turn 3, and you're like, what in the world? My setup isn't worth a darn anymore. So these drivers are trying to negotiate that right now. They're talking to their crew chiefs, and they're saying, hey, is there anything we can do on our pit stop, you know, to give us a little better control and some more speed coming out of these corners right now? Carl, have you heard any information about our leaders on this next pit stop?
Looks like a slight technical issue down there on pit road. We'll get back to Carl here in just a little bit. Right now, what we're watching as this battle for the lead shakes out. Tim, we just hit lap number 36, and I would expect to see your 2 leaders on pit road any time now. Benefiel and Brundys, they said at the top of the show that 36 laps was about what you'd see as far as a full fuel run, so we should be expecting them on pit road any time now within, the next lap or so.
That's right. As these laps wind down, they get closer to their pitting lap, you're going to start to see these guys backing their corners up a lot. Like, for example, you know, getting into turn 1, they might stay on the throttle beyond, you know, those caution lights they have at the corner. You know, they might stay on it a good second or half second past those caution lights, whereas at the end of a run, you're going to be getting off the gas, getting into that corner well before you reach those caution lights. These guys have their markers on their field, you know, and they pay attention to their marks, and that's what lets them know, hey, get on the gas here let off of the gas here. And you slowly back those cues up the longer you are on a run, because you lose the grip in your tires the longer you run. We see negotiation for some lap traffic there. Leaders, I think, are still getting ready to make a pit. It's going to happen pretty soon.
And it
They're
just
probably
happened.
running dry.
It just happened right now for John Higman. The 60 just hit pit road last time by the start-finish line for his service, which would mean you'd expect to see the 85 and the 94 of Benefield and Brundys on pit road any time now. However, they stay out one more lap right here. 38 laps in the books. So these two, Tim, trying to stretch it about as long as possible.
Yeah, I like that. I like that move by our third-place car there. He did a really good job pitting early, and by doing that, I think he's going to gain some ground on these leaders, because right now the leaders, they're running slower lap times than they did at the beginning. And our former third-place driver is now, John Higman Jr., he's now going to be running faster lap times, and he will run faster lap times until our leaders pit. Oh, we've got our leader, Adam, the 85, coming down into pit road right now.
And right with him in lockstep comes the 94 of Eric Brundy. So both leaders hitting pit road here as they come to complete lap number 39. Benefield going to make the trip all the way down to the end of pit road and pull into that number one pit stall that he earned by virtue of grabbing the pole here at Michigan. Comes to a stop, and we're going to wait and see. We'd assume with the tire wear here at Michigan, it's going to be 4 tires and fuel. Right sides go up on that machine, and service done going around to the left side, and it is indeed 4 tires, a full tank of Sunoco virtual race fuel. Adam Benefield, a fantastic pit stop. He pulls away 14.9, and Eric Brundy's clocks a 16 flat pit stop, Tim. There you go. Adam Benefield picks up 1.1 seconds right there on the pit stop. And here at Michigan, that is a huge amount of time.
Dude, I am telling you, Eric Brundys is probably ready to fire his virtual pit crew right now for taking almost 2 full seconds longer to make that pit stop, you know. But what's going to play out here, and we're not able to make these observations in the sim racing environment, is what adjustments were made. You know, in real life racing, we're able to see, you know, hey, did we take some wedge out? Did we do something with the springs? Did we make an air pressure adjustment? We don't know that for sure here in the sim racing booth, but we'll find out, you know, once we get back into cycle through and get back up to speed here. We'll see who made the changes, because their cars will be behaving differently. But this lead that we've got here from Adam is significant, very significant over Eric. And you'll see John Higman Jr. used to be in that third place lineup, and after we filter out here, you'll have Adam Benefield and John Higman Jr. and Eric Brundy's 1, 2, 3 once this field pans out for pit stops. But great move there by John Higman Jr. pitting when he did, because he gained himself another spot.
Yes, he did, and I'll tell you right now, Eric Brundy's lost a total of about 3 seconds of track time total in that exchange of pit stops. And right now, as we're still cycling through, the 48 of Kevin Linden, who was at the back half of the top 10 before pit stops started, he leads this field right now by 12 seconds over E.J. O'Rourke. We're waiting for the rest of this to cycle through, as it does right now. The last 2 come down to complete their service, and Adam Benefield cycles through here with 42 laps complete, working lap number 43. John Higman Jr. was about 2.5 seconds back. He clips that to 1.2. Eric Brundy's goes from second to third. Scott Simley makes a great jump on that exchange of pit stops, Tim. He's up to 4th now, and Bobby Terrell rides in 5th. So Nathan Little having a little bit of trouble on his exchange of pit stops, loses 2 during the cycle.
Nathan's a good driver. I think he's going to come back from this. Got a lot of laps left. I think he's going to recover just fine before we see the end of this race. The folks here at RealSimRacing.com, the first and foremost, they're a community of friends that all have the same goal in mind, to have some fun. So the most important rule to them is to treat everyone as a friend and show respect to each other on the track. We've seen that so far in this RealSimRacing.com event, the 13th race of their season. A lot of professionalism on the track. Great show by these drivers. Even in the beginning when we had a little slip up with the start of the race, there were apologies being made back and forth. Folks understood. They got their cars fixed. They got back on the track, getting back at it. Great group of folks. Can't say enough about the guys and gals here at RealSimRacing.com.
Yeah, and also want to give a shout out here while we've got a second to Garry Mercer Trucking, the presenting sponsor of the series and the sponsor of tonight's race. Does a lot to support this Real Sim Racing division here on iRacing. Hit www.gmercer.com/IT professionals for more information. Special thanks to them for helping put on this MIS race tonight. And we're hitting halfway right now, so I'd say it's time for a full field rundown presented by Garry Mercer Trucking. Out front by 0.7 of a second and closing. The number 85 of Adam Benefiel, the 60 of John Higman Jr. rides in the second spot right now with Eric Brundys in third. Scott Simley fourth. Bobby Terrell completes the top 5 with Nathan Little sixth. Dan Murray 7th. Kevin Linden rides in 8th. Jamie Moore 9th. And 10th, Tim, is Matt Lacrosse.
11th place is Brian Harvey, 23 seconds behind the leader. 12th, we have the 92 of E.J. O'Rourke. 13th is John Abbott in the number 10. 14th is Brandon Peterson. Justin M. Wilson in 15th position right now. Brennan Mercer 16th. Ed Williams Jr. 17th. Michael Woolley, the last car on the lead lap, 32 seconds down in the 18th position. First car 1 lap down in the 19th is L. Bryce Whitson Jr. and number 20, C.J. LaVar in the number 4, also 1 lap down.
The rest of the field, 21st right now, the Keith Brooks Jr. number 15 machine. He is 2 laps in arrears to the leaders. 22nd, the 91 is Steve Gottschalk. All the rest of these cars, multiple laps down, had problems, most of them at the start of the race. Eric Arnold, 23rd, 24th, Thomas J. George, 25th, Guy Snyder, 26th, Scott Stenzel, 27th, Jose Gonzalez, 28th, Nathan Bowers, 29th, Jose Malbran, and 30th, Jonathan Cattle. All of those cars out of this race right now as we have got a battle for the lead heating up in turn number 3. Adam Benefiel has been caught, Tim.
Jacob, what did we tell y'all earlier in this run? John Higman Jr. was holding out on us the entire time, used a great pit strategy. He goes to the inside as they pass the start-finish line. Here's going to be a test of how good his car is. It looks like Adam just let up and let him by. Wise move by Adam. Get him again later on. Don't waste your tires here. Just go ahead and fall in line. Make sure he doesn't get away from you. But, man, fantastic move here by John Higman Jr. and his entire race team in the number 60 car. He's got a very good race car tonight. Look at him coming around the corner. Doesn't get squirrely at all. Maintains racing speed, but still, it's going to be a challenge to get completely away from Adam tonight because Adam has had one powerful racing machine for this first half of action.
Right now, the torrid pace that these front two have been setting. Eric Brundys now 2.8 seconds back. He's made up a little time, but not a whole lot. Just 16 cars, though, remaining on the lead lap, and these leaders are going to be working lap traffic here in a couple more laps. Ed Williams Jr. right now 31 seconds behind the race leaders, and the good thing for Adam Benefiel right now, he's got to take solace in the fact that there's another pit stop coming. If that car is a little bit off, he's got another pit stop to put tires and fuel in it and try to make another run at this.
You know, he does, and I was looking at the lap times here of our two race leaders. You know, who's run the fastest lap so far in this race between the two of these guys on the track, and they're neck and neck right now. Both Adam and John Higman Jr. both have a fast lap time of 37.9 and some change, so they both have probably about the equal amount of skill, but it looks like, just quick evidence here, that John Higman Jr. maybe made an adjustment in the pits, or he's starting to race a little more seriously now because he is starting to pull away almost half a second away now from Adam Benefiel.
And that's the ticket right now, but Eric Brundy's not giving up yet either. He just chopped a 10th off that gap to the lead last time by, so don't forget about that number 94 machine here as we are working now, lap number 52 of 90 scheduled here tonight, and gonna get down to it here. It's getting closer and closer to crunch time, Tim, and the mindset is going to change here. Once we cross lap 60 here in about 8 more laps, it's the final third of the race, and you start to think you're running out of time. You start to get a little antsy, start to get up on that wheel, and you start to think to yourself, if I'm going to go, I need to go now.
You know, at Michigan, even being 2.6 seconds back, like Eric Brundy's is right now in the 94, that's a lot of time to make up, especially if your leaders have some talent. So the worst thing that Eric can do for himself right now is start to overdrive the corner. I've been in this spot myself, and I've made this mistake before, where you're thinking, hey, they're less than 3 seconds away. Maybe if I just change what I'm doing, I'll be able to catch them quicker, when in fact you end up slowing yourself down because you'll overdrive the corner or you'll get out of your rhythm, but if Eric Brundy's continues to do what he's doing, as he just knocked off another 10th with that lap, he's got enough time to chase down these leaders, but he cannot lose focus. Again, this is a mental game here, mental power, staying focused. Don't get distracted. Ignore what the other drivers are doing and race your race. That's what he's got to be thinking right now in the 94 car.
That's exactly right. 2.4 was the gap last time by. It is now 2.3. So he's coming at a clip of about a 10th a lap right here. And he has got, right now, if I can do my math correctly, 35 laps to go to try and run down these front two right here. And Higman, Benefield, Brundy's, not necessarily in that order all night long, but those three have had the cars to beat all day. They've got a 4.5 second cushion over everybody else. Scott Simley in fourth, and everybody kind of content to run single file right now. I don't think anybody is really up on the wheel trying to go for positions. I'm thinking they're waiting for this last pit stop, Tim, before they go for broke. Well, it won't be long here till the leader, John Higman Jr., runs up against Brendan Mercer, who is at the back of the lead lap here. But when they catch him, do expect for John Higman Jr. to be looking for the best way around them. And he's probably going to get Mr. Mercer in his sights well before he's able to pass him. So he's probably going to be watching how Brendan Mercer gets around the track. Does he prefer the high line? Does he drop all the way to the bottom in the corners? He's going to use a couple of laps to try and figure that out, so that when John Higman Jr. gets right up there on him to make that pass, he can get around him quickly and smoothly and not get held up on the outside. Because I tell you, any little deal here where you got to get out of the gas or you tap on the brake just a little bit, that car behind you is going to take advantage of your bad situation and pass you right up. That's exactly right. Coming to lap number 57 right now, so we'll be at 33 to go. And right now, I see a fast closing number 94 machine of Eric Brundy's. This is going to be a three-car battle for the win here before too long. And as we work lap number 58, we're going to slide in another break here in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Garry Mercer Trucking. The Garry Mercer Trucking Michigan 180 continues. When we come back, you are watching LSRTV from Michigan International Speedway. Stay with us.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back to the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Garry Mercer Trucking. Right now you are on board with race leader John Higman Jr., though he may not be the race leader for too much longer. Working lap traffic right now with 27 laps to go in the Garry Mercer Trucking Michigan 180. Adam Benefiel is on the march trying to get the lead back. But Tim Masters, the guy who has really been on the charge here over the past 10 or 12 laps, has been the 94 of points leader Eric Brundy's, looking for his third win of the season. He has been all consistently a tenth to 2/10 a lap faster than these guys that he is chasing. That'll get you the lead in a hurry.
Oh, we got the leader squirrely there coming out of the turn. Adam Benefiel got into the rear end of John Higman Jr., got him squirrely, and Adam shot to the inside. I don't think there's any damage on John Higman Jr.'s racing machine, but it did cause him to run up the racetrack when he got touched there from the rear. I don't know that it was intentional, but contact was made, and we had a change for the leader. Adam Benefiel in the 85 now out front, and John Higman Jr. trailing behind now by a couple of tenths.
What was that we were talking about at the top of the show about mistakes? Well, there you go. That right there was a tough break as John Higman Jr. hits the pit lane right here in the number 60 machine. We'll follow up on his stop in just a moment. Tim, he's hitting pit road now. Strategy play because you're in your fuel window now, or is this one of those situations where he might want to check over that car? Maybe he did get some damage.
Jacob, he's capitalizing on an opportunity here. We talked about race momentum is so important, right? Well, earlier in that lap, he got a little squirrely. He had some help from behind him, caused him to run up the track a bit. He lost position. He was going to have to pit anyway to take tires and fuel to finish this thing out. So he's within his pit window. He had already lost momentum on that rack, on the lap. So instead of spending a couple of 3 laps to get back up to speed and losing more ground, he says, I'm going to pit now. I'm already running slow this lap, and he did it, had a great pit stop, 4 tires, and he's away with a full tank of gas, ready to finish out this race. If we go green, he's not going to have to pit again. I'll tell you what, I think it was a smart move given the circumstances that he had there.
So now we're going to see, just like we did on Sunday afternoon, what pit strategy wins you this race. Because this is going to be where the game is won or lost right now, no pun intended, of course, as we see a battle for the lead. Eric Brundy's looked inside coming off turn number 4, and he's going to try to pin the 85 of Adam Benefiel behind a lap car right here. They're working more lap traffic. I believe that's the 65 of Ed Williams Jr. right there, just ahead of the race leaders. And Brundy's trying to capitalize. He peeks inside down the back straightaway. 94 is looking for the lead into turn number 3. He uses the lap car as a pick, and Eric Brundy's goes to the lead for the first time tonight.
Man, what a charge through the field for Eric. Now, he had a really bad pit stop that last time, and that's why he's had to charge from farther back in the field. You maybe have watched the beginning of this race, you're like, oh, Eric was up front, and now we're talking about him charging through the field. Well, that's what happened. He had a bit of a longer pit stop than he had hoped for during his first pit. But We're coming up on our second pit stops for green flags anyway, for this green flag run we've had, and now Eric finds himself, again, leading the field. He must have a great setup for this race tonight. We've seen him be very patient, hit his marks, and slowly, methodically move up this field. He's only had maybe one or two mistakes that cost him some time, when he was maybe got into the corner just a little bit too hot once or twice, but he's done a great job in this mental toughness game that we experience in these endurance races, especially at this deceptive track here at Michigan. Eric Brundy's doing a fantastic job.
And I'll tell you right now, Higman's pit stop may have sparked a little bit of a trend right here. Scott Simley in the 68 just hit pit lane for his final service of the night. So could we be seeing some of these guys trying to pull a fast one on these two leaders, Brundy's and Benefiel? We know these are two guys who are not going to have to sit on pit road a long time. They'll only take exactly as much fuel as they need to get to the finish, which should be in about 7 laps or so based on the math from when they pitted the first time, which was at lap 39. So you'd assume, based on that math, we'd see them on pit road at lap 78, which is about 7 laps from now. And all of a sudden, we see Adam Benefiel starting to drop back a little bit.
That's right. Our leader right now is running like about a 38.5, okay? And John Higman Jr., he pit a little bit early, right? He pit a little early, but now he's got fresh tires, and he's running on average right now about a 38.2.
Leaders are on pit road, Tim. We'll get back to that discussion in just a minute. 0.3 a lap only works for so long, and that's until the leaders come to pit road. Eric Brundy's leads Benefiel onto pit road. Now, the big question is, can he nail this money stop right here and get out ahead of the 85 of Benefiel? He cannot lose a lot of time right here. Brundy's hits his marks perfectly. Right sides getting ready to go up on that machine. It'll be 4 tires, a full tank of Sunoco Virtual Racing fuel, and they'll be down and away as we see more cars following the lead. I'm looking at this right now. Did the 85 of Benefiel, Tim? I think he only took 2 tires.
He did. Boy, is that a gamble. I certainly wouldn't do that with Eric Brundy's in my rearview mirror. So Brundy's got out a little bit slower than his competitor, but he has got 4 fresh Goodyear tires on that thing and a full tank of virtual gas in there. He's ready to rock and roll. He is ready to do this, and you know what? I would just not want to be Adam Benefiel right now with Eric Brundy's on the move right behind me with 4 fresh tires to finish out this race.
So Benefiel now in that 85 machine, the pole sitter, back to the race lead. The big question about this is, where does the 60 of John Higman shake out in the mix right now? Side by side for what would be the race lead. John Higman to the outside of Adam Benefiel. He wants what would be the top spot when everything cycles out, and strategy is going to give it to him, Tim. John Higman gets around Benefiel, and when this all cycles out, it looks like that would be the battle for the lead, in addition to the 68 of Scott Simley, who right now is just ahead of John Higman. He also short-pitted just a little bit to get some fresh rubber.
Man, I don't know how they did it, but that team there for John Higman Jr. and the number 60 racing machine has done a spectacular job in planning these pit stops, but I think both of their green flag pit stops here have been on a spur-of-the-moment decision, like, hey, we just fell out of favor, let's go ahead and pit now. We just had a mistake, let's go ahead and pit now. And I think realizing that instead of staying on the track a couple extra laps is what gained them some much needed ground. Now, so we've got John Higman Jr., who's proven he can outrun Adam for the majority of a race run, but the real question here, can he stand the test of time and pass or stay ahead of our dominant driver here for most of this race? I don't know if he'll be able to hang on to it. What do you think, Jacob?
It's going to be interesting to see, but another thing that I got is somewhere along the lines, I'm getting reports that the 94 of Brundy's has some damage, the 85 of Benefiel has some damage. We're trying to get a good look at it right here. The 85, he is not really off the pace per se, but John Higman, I'll tell you, he's pulled away from all these cats. He got 4 fresh tires, and that may be the difference. I'm not seeing a lot of damage to that 85 machine, Tim. It doesn't look like he's that far off the pace, but wow.
Yeah, you know what? I just got a great look as they came around that corner there, and I zoomed in to see on my broadcasting camera here. He has got damage on the right front. That's going to affect his handling, and while he still may have a fast race car, and his times show that he does have a fast race car, I just don't know that he's going to be able to compete with our race leaders, John Higman Jr. and Eric Brundies. Both of those guys are just so good. You're going to have to be at elite status to win this thing right now, and I don't believe his racing machine, and Adam's racing machine in the 85 is at elite status anymore after having gotten into the wall.
And I think you're seeing that right now, is when it all cycles through, he would be, I believe, in third place. But I'm looking at the times right now, and Tim, I mentioned it just in passing.
Oh, getting swirly, the 85 out of turn 4, just like we talked about earlier in the race. Sorry to interrupt there, but his rear end came out from under him, and he had to get out of the gas big time as he came out of turn 4.
Oh boy. And what I was starting to mention right there is we see the 85 of Benefield gather it back up, and Eric Brundies get by him right here. One of the things I wanted to mention, Scott Simley in the 68 had been, it looked like, and I thought he pitted when he went a lap down briefly earlier, and I believe he had his final service. He's actually out ahead of John Higman Jr. right now, waiting to see how everything shakes out right now, but it's going to be very interesting to see what this does. And in fact, Scott Simley 4 seconds behind race leader, who's currently the 78 of Brandon Peterson. Simley second, Higman third, 2.2 seconds behind Simley. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, this is fun.
You know, with a few laps left to go here, I really think in my heart of hearts that if we had a caution at this very moment, that Brandon Peterson and Scott Simley would be sitting in a great spot, because even our 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th place drivers right now would probably want to come in and take tires, because just how significant the tires are at this track, to get 4 fresh ones for a dash to the end, so to speak, to finish out this race.
Brandon Peterson, the 78, he hits pit road right now, so he obviously had not made his final pit stop, and he drops down the running order as he works onto pit road. Fuel only going to be the call, and oh boy, now is where strategy gets fun. And if you're Scott Simley, you're sitting 2 seconds ahead of the race for the win between Higman and Eric Brundies, and sitting, I may have just stole me one right here.
Oh, I bet he's hoping he has. I tell you, Scott done a great job with his strategy out there, keeping the car clean. And you know what? You have to be up front to have a chance to win at the end of the race. If you ain't there at the end, you don't have a shot. So the majority of the battle right there is keeping your racing machine in good operating condition, as we find John Higman Jr. About 2/10 ahead of the rest of the field right now, and his speed really showing a great performance out there, Jacob.
Yeah, he is, but that's because Simley is on a fuel-only strategy. He doesn't have the tires that Higman does, and right now, by my math, 10 laps to go, 9 laps to go as they cross the stripe. 0.2 of a second times 9 laps is 1.8 seconds. He is not going to catch Simley, or if he does, it is going to be a drag race to the finish. Scott Simley just trying to hang on.
Oh, I am chomping at the bit. This is exciting. Less than 10 laps to go here in this race. I couldn't be more thrilled with the outcome of this thing. It is a strategy battle to the very end. A strategy battle to the checkers. Simley's doing a great job of hanging on, just kind of sneaking up there and saying, hey, this thing is mine. I'm going to own it. Great job to Scott Simley and the 68 team.
Here's the problem he's got, though. He has got John Higman 0.2 quicker a lap with 8 laps to go. And then you've got Eric Brundies. Higman's got to work his way around Simley. Simley's not just going to give it up. Brundies could be the one in the catbird seat right now.
Oh, certainly. Definitely not a bad day to be Eric Brundy's either. I mean, we've saw how dominant his racing machine has been. He's got a great setup. He's got great mental track discipline to hit his marks. Even when things get dicey and he's trying to make up ground, just continue to hit those marks and whittle down on those leaders. Eric Brundy's can do this. He's definitely in a good spot to win it as well. Right now we're seeing John Hickman Jr. negotiate some lap traffic. Didn't look like it slowed him down very much at all as he timed that pass pretty accurately.
I'll tell you who did get slowed down, and that's Scott Simley in the number 68 machine. He caught a lap car at exactly the point he did not want to catch a lap car. It is going to cost him a lot of time.
Oh, we've
Here,
got one down on the inside. Oh.
And he saves it. I think he gets it straight in the grass and somehow manages to hang on.
Ooh, the lolly, that was John Abbott with the acrobats on the front stretch. Oh, and now he is spun. Caution is out. He could not keep it off the track. Just barely miscollected that car as he zoomed by at top speed. John's back under racing speed. That's John Abbott. Lost a little bit of control there coming out of turn 4, and I tell you, if you get that angle wrong, it's just all over. It's not necessarily his fault. Didn't do it bad there. I'm watching the replay here, and yep, you know, we talked about it at the beginning of the race here, Jacob. If you get it wrong coming out of turn 4, you'll find yourself pointed towards pit road as opposed to pointed toward the front stretch, and that's exactly what happened to John.
Second caution of the race, and if you're Scott Simley right now, all you have to do is sit back, smile, and say, my strategy just paid off. The caution came out coming to 5 laps to go, and by iRacing rules, Tim, I don't believe that we are going to get, or Tim, I don't believe we're going to go back to green flag racing.
Jacob, this is some sad news here. I just saw that the 85 machine of Adam Benefeld T-boned John Abbott as he came back on the track there. I did not see that the very first time, and it also looks like the 65 machine collected a little bit of damage on that too. Yeah, just an unfortunate end there for the 85. Had such a great day, a very powerful machine running up front, and sad to see that happen, but you know, that is racing. It's competitive, and life ain't fair on the racetrack.
That might be the truest statement I've heard all night, Tim. I tell you what, and wow, Scott Simley. You know, if I had John Hickman plowing down on me, I was watching the times right there. Hickman was going to catch him. He was going to catch him, and Simley was going to be hard-pressed to win this race. He needed a caution. He needed it pretty much exactly when it fell, and son of a gun, if it didn't fall exactly how he needed it to, and we'll wait and see officially here, but I don't think that we are going to be able to get this race restarted.
Well, if we do, let's just assume for a moment maybe we do have enough time for a restart here. If we do, Scott's in a bad spot. He couldn't afford to go get some tires right here, so he's going to have to pull one of those miracles out of his mystery hat right now if he wants to win. Should we go green again with this thing? John Hickman Jr. also not in a great spot. Neither is Eric Brundy's. Now, if any of those guys behind them, we see 8th place was able to Matt Lacrosse. He took some tires on that one, so Matt's sitting pretty. He could probably pass the entire field in 2 laps with brand new tires, but these guys up front, they can afford that. They're probably going to try and make sure they don't spin it on the restart for one and end up with carnage like we saw on the very first lap of the race, or they're going to get a very slow start and try to defend those positions as best as they can. But if I was in this role right now and I'm in the top 5, I've already chewed off every single fingernail that I have right now, trying to figure out what in the world I'm going to do to preserve my good finish for the night.
All right, so Tim, I'll throw a new curveball at you. I'm looking at this, and I'm getting reports that we may end up going back green for a 1-lap shootout. That throws a new wrench into the works because these front 7 or front 6 now, Matt Lacrosse in 7th took tires. His tires are going to be fresh, and these front 6 from Scott Sinley down to Kevin Linden, their tires are gone.
This is going to be a fresh reminder for everyone that, especially our racing fans watching tonight, that are involved in sim racing, and especially on the iRacing server, best server out there, you guys, best racing simulation available on the internet, iRacing.com. But anyway, this is a reminder to those guys that anything can happen on that last lap. I remember a truck race here on iRacing that I was a part of. I was running 15th with one lap to go. We got that one green flag shootout to the end thing on the public server, and everyone in front of me crashed, and I ended up passing everyone and got me a little win in the trucks. But that just goes to say, you never know what's going to happen here. Nobody's deal is sealed right now if you're on the lead lap. If you are on the lead lap, you got a shot at a great finish. One lap, anything goes. It's going to be a great finish.
Yeah, and that's we're waiting on the official word here, and we're about to find out, because if the lights go off on the pace car right now, we know we're about to be in for a treat. So Scott Simley's going to be hoping those lights stay on right now, and everybody better hold on tight. So we're watching the pace car right here as these guys come down to the line. Survey says lights are out. We are going to have ourselves a dandy of a finish. Tim, Scott Simley going for his 5th career win. John Higman, he's one of the winningest drivers in this field, closing in on 20 career victories in this series.
All right,
he knows how to get it done. Here's
my bold prediction for you. You may not like this, but I don't think anyone on the first 2 rows are going to win this thing. I know this is a bold statement here, but I think 5th place and back, those are the ones going to have a shot here, because these guys up front, they're going to be so nervous about spinning their tires that I think the guys behind them are just going to shoot off to the inside or the outside behind them on the restart and take advantage of any situation they can find. We may see people trying to race around the apron on this thing. I mean, points are at stake in this racing series here at RealSimRacing.com. I mean, pride is at stake. We got folks trying to win their 3rd win of the season here. This is exciting. I could not paint a better finish than what you're about to see here on LSRTV.
Well, if you thought our last LSR broadcast was good, hang on to your hats, folks, because it is about to get very, very real. When Scott Simley gets back to the flag, green and white will be waving together, and we'll have 2 miles to settle it here at Michigan. Watching the pace car, waiting for that cue. Right now, pace car makes the peel to pit road. Scott Simley, field is in his hand. He's bringing them down slow. Green flag in the air. Oh,
they all got squarely.
John Higman in the wall, and Scott Simley trying to hang on. I don't know if Eric Brundy's got around him in time right there. As the caution lights come on, we'll wait for word. Oh my goodness. John Higman tried to go, and into the wall he went. Tim, it looked exactly like what happened at the start of this race.
Hey, man, what did we tell you? It's going to be nuts. I can't wait to see the replay for this one as they race back to the finish line. Who's going to cross that start-finish line first?
Race. Never mind. Son of a gun. The caution lights never did come on. Side by side to the line, Eric Brundy's holds on, and I think is going to pick up the win. Son of a gun. We saw the carnage. It was behind the leaders. Wow. Hey, Tim, we were all confused on that one. We thought it was done, and they knew better than we did.
Oh, Eric Brundy's looks like he is tentatively the race winner right now. Of course, we will check the replays and make sure that the scoring is correct, but tentatively, congratulations, Eric Brundy's. I can't wait to see the replay on that one and watch the view from inside your cockpit. This is nuts, man. What a great finish. A lot of fun there on that last lap, Jacob.
I thought sure when we saw everything going on behind Scott Simley, Tim, I thought sure there was a caution flag there, but I was looking at the lights as they were going into turn 3, and all of a sudden we didn't see the caution flag, or the caution lights blinking, and that's the moment when you look at this and go, oh, wait a minute. And we're getting word now that Eric Brundys is officially the winner of this race. Hey, how about that call by Matt Lacrosse to take tires? 8th to 2nd, and he comes 39 one-thousandths away from going to victory lane. You said, Tim, that you weren't sure if he could pass them all in a lap. He almost did it.
Hey, I tell you what, we've done this a time or two here in iRacing, and Matt Lacrosse did a great move, gambling and taking tires there. You know, watching that replay, Eric Brundys, he got squirrely too and just barely saved it on that restart himself. But, you know, the difference between losing it and barely saving it, it's winning the race. That's the difference. Great job. Eric Brundys did a fantastic job here, maintaining control on the restarts. And Matt Lacrosse, man, high five to you. Can't wait to talk to you about that. Hopefully we get to talk to you after this race. Man, what a finish there. Unfortunate for John Hickman Jr. Such a fight all race long to have to finish 7th place there. But, hey, you gave it your all. Great fight to the finish. You gave the fans a very great show. Outstanding performance here tonight.
All right, so with that, I think we're going to take a minute to catch our breaths and try to process what just happened here. We're going to take a break on LSRTV and come back to the Garry Mercer Trucking post-race show right after this. Try to talk to all of our top finishers. Eric Brundys steals his 3rd win of the season in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. We'll hear from him at MIS when we come back. You are watching LSR TV from the Michigan International Speedway.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born.
Alrighty.
Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back to the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Garry Mercer Trucking here at Michigan International Speedway on LSRTV. Jacob Seelman and Tim Masters here in the broadcast booth, and I think we're still trying to catch our breath after the finish we just saw to tonight's Garry Mercer Trucking Michigan 180, an unbelievable one-lap dash where we thought it was going to be a caution flag on the last lap, and instead goes to finish. Eric Brundys grabs the win, but right now we are going to throw it trackside where Tim Masters is caught up with tonight's third-place finisher, Nathan Little.
Jacob, that was a mighty fine racing out there. I'm here with Nathan Little. Nathan, watching that last lap, looks like you saw some carnage in front of you, and you tucked in right behind Eric Brundys and just held on for dear life. Take us through that last lap.
I'm still shaking. I got behind my teammate there, Eric, and was just intent to push him, and I seen him go down low there, and I just tried to draft him there to the finish. I think Lacrosse come on the outside there like a freaking jet, and I was just trying to hold on to third, to be honest with you. I didn't have nothing for those guys.
Yeah, well, Matt, we saw it taking some tires, 4 fresh Goodyears on that last stop. Quite the gamble for him, too. Probably betting on that carnage in front of him. But, Nathan, you're disciplined throughout the race. This is a mental discipline here, and we talked about Michigan being a deceptive track, making you think you've got to run when you really, in fact, don't. You displayed a lot of mental discipline out there. Tell us, what was the toughest part of this race for you?
Turn 4, by far. I about the middle of the race, I got off a little bit. Could not get through there at all and lost a lot of time to those guys, but finally got it straightened out and got the Haas Automation Chevy up to the front.
Hey, man, that's great, Nathan. Nathan, who's your sponsorship here tonight in the 41 machine?
Haas Automation. My favorite driver is Kurt Busch, so I gotta sport my colors there for the Outlaw.
Hey, well, Nathan, you did a great job representing tonight. Great third-place finish for you. Congratulations tonight and your advancement in the points. Quite the performance out there.
Thank you, guys.
All right, and back to you, Jacob.
I'll tell you from up here, I know somebody else, it was a tale of differing strategies there, Tim, as we came to the conclusion of that race. And the guy who was on a different strategy than everybody else was the guy that Nathan mentioned right there. Matt Lacrosse comes home second, restarted about 7th, but grabbed 4 fresh tires and almost ran all the way through this field, Tim, and you're still down there trackside, and Matt Lacrosse comes up just a hair short trying to win this race.
You're right, Jacob. I'm still trying to track down Matt here. He'll be here in just a moment. But as we get into that, Matt took quite the risk there in taking tires on that stop. But you know what? Nothing to lose there, being at the back of the front pack here. Hey, we've got Matt with us now. Matt, wow, what a gamble on that last lap and your pit strategy there. What was going through your mind during that last pit there?
Well, I had a couple of my teammates, my spotter actually told me that there was only like 10 cars in the lead lap, and I was already running 9th or 8th or 10th or something, and he said, just go ahead and pit. I got nothing to lose, really. So, we just decided to come in, take 4 tires. I took 2 tires on that last green flag pit stop. So I decided to come in, take 4, and just hope that what happened actually happened. I feel bad for Scott because he's a teammate of mine, but man, I was just hoping to just dodge a wreck that was probably going to happen and just try to finish the race. That was my only goal.
Matt, you did a fantastic job there and running on the outside like you did to pass all of those cars and avoiding the wrecked cars in front of you, too. We'd kind of forecasted some potential carnage there at the beginning of that last restart of the race. But the way you battled Eric there at the end, such professionalism between you two. It could have been really easy to just kind of, push down on one another here. But the folks here at RealSimRacing.com, you truly do have a lot of class. Walk us through that last turn for you as you and Eric were side by side battling for the lead.
Well, Eric's a really respectable guy. I like racing with him. This is my first race back over here. I think I raced the first 4 races of the season, and I haven't been back. So he's probably tied up in a points deal, and I'm just over here for one or couple nights. Maybe I'll start running again on Mondays. I'm not sure. But I just wanted to give him lots of room, and if I could get him on the outside, I was going to get him. He went really low coming out of 2, trying to block me from trying to get around him, but I had no intentions of going down there at all. I was just going to try to push it on the outside as hard as I could, and I wasn't really sure how close the finish was. Right at the end, I think when we come out of 4, I could barely see his nose, so I knew he had it, but I wasn't going to give him too much of a hard time.
Matt, Jacob Seelman up here in the tower, and I'll tell you what, side by side coming right to the line. For you, was there anything else you could have done to try to grab that win from Eric? I saw you coming on the high side with a full head of steam, and it just looked like you needed about 500 feet more.
Yeah, I mean, going up, like I said, when we come out of 2, I was already on the top side, and he went extremely low to try to stop me from going down there, and I just stayed right up by the wall. And my thinking was, man, I'm gonna just touch the brake a little bit and get it turned and just hammer it and see if we can carry momentum off of 4. But I knew he was right there. I looked at my thing, and we were dead even. And at that point, I was like, man, if I get him, I get him. If I don't, I don't. I'm not going to try to wreck him to win. So that's not how I race. I wouldn't want other people to race me like that unless it's for a championship or $1 million. You know what I mean?
Well, Matt, everyone watching here on LSRTV saw your sportsmanship out there and saw your skill, your talent there at the end of that race and throughout the duration of the race, too. We talked about how just being there at the end is very important here, too. So great job on the track out there, Matt. Great professionalism, good driving skill, too. Hey, who's the sponsor of that 21 racing machine?
I'd like to thank Quick Car Racing Products. They make things move for me, and Hippie's Paint Shop. Link you guys up in the booth. You guys do a great job in RSR. It's a good league. I'm glad I could come back and finish top 5.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Lacrosse finishing second by just hundreds of seconds behind our race winner, Eric Brundys. Back to you, Jacob. Have you caught up with our winner yet?
Victory Lane's the place to find him, and I'll tell you that margin was 39 1/1000ths of a second. The tires were screaming, but the celebration begins down here in Victory Lane as he becomes the first 3-time winner of 2014. Eric Brundys, you pad your points lead tonight in the Full Throttle Cup Series, and I have to ask you, you saw Matt Lacrosse coming on that high side, coming off turn 4. What was going through your mind, and were you worried there wasn't going to be enough for you to hold off that charge coming to the stripe?
Yeah, I knew he got that runoff too, and I knew going into 3 that you wanted to be down low no matter what, and so I quickly cut down and to the low line. He just stayed high, and then I told myself not to overdrive 3, and it should be fine, and thankfully I was. So yeah, it was good to get this one after last week. Yeah, last week really bothered me all week. I'm constantly second guessing myself, wondering if I could have done anything to win that race last week. But I knew I had to close the deal this week, give it another chance. I really just happy I was given a chance there at the end. We weren't going to have enough time to catch Scott on that green run if it stayed green. So.
Eric, I'll tell you what, though, incredible drive. You pick up your 3rd win of the season, 4th career. For you now, you extend almost to a full race lead in the championship. But is the championship almost secondary right now with the gap you've been able to put on this field? For you, is it just about for the rest of this season going out and try to win races?
Well, yeah, I mean, because of the chase, and we're going to go with the real life Sprint Cup format where the champions decided at Homestead in the last race, so points lead doesn't really mean anything. I mean, we've clinched the chase, and that's really all that matters. So, yeah, I mean, until then, we're just going to go out and try to win races and just try to become prepared for the chase.
It's a hold-on tight scenario. You had a dominant car, rallied back, and I know you can't do it by yourself, Eric. Who makes it happen for you?
Oh, I just want to thank my teammates. I had Nathan right behind me. Yeah, I think he came home 3rd, but we looked for a second there like we were going to get a 1-2, but yeah, just my teammates and you guys for a great broadcast. I really enjoy it, and I know the fans do too.
Long night turns into a 3rd win of the season. Eric Brundys by a skosh, 39 1/1000ths of a second. He picks up the win tonight here at Michigan International Speedway. Eric, congratulations again, and look forward to seeing you on track next week.
All right, thank you.
All right, Tim Masters, before we send this home here tonight from the Irish Hills, final thoughts on what we've seen, because it was a dandy of a show.
Jacob, some mighty fine racing from our folks here at RealSimRacing.com and an excellent broadcast by LSRTV. Can't thank them enough, too, for showing this action here on the track. It was fun. It was fun. Just started out with a little bit of carnage, got a lot of strategy in the middle of the race, ended with some carnage and a lot of excitement. You can't ask for better television than that.
No, you can't. And before we send it home, want to go through the entire field so you can find where your favorite driver finished tonight. Eric Brundy's, of course, picking up the win in a photo finish with Matt Lacrosse coming home second. Nathan Little rounds out the top three. Scott Simley, after leading, coming to the white flag, ends fourth. E.J. O'Rourke finishes fifth. Brian Harvey, sixth. John Higman Jr., after that contact there into the wall, coming to the restart, he limps it home in seventh, with Bobby Terrell in eighth. Kevin Linden, the last car on the lead lap, in ninth. Tim in 10th, the first car a lap down, that 58 of Justin M. Wilson.
Jamie Moore finishing 11th. Brennan Mercer coming home 12th. L. Bryce Whiston Jr. in 13th. Ed Williams Jr. in 14th, Brandon Peterson 15th, Dan Murray 16th, 1 lap down, 3 laps down, Michael Woolley in the 17th position, C.J. LaVar in 18th, 19th, Adam Benafel had such a great run to finish 6 laps down there at the end, and 20th is the number 10 car of John Abbott.
The rest of the cars out of the race tonight. 21st, the 91 of Steve Gottschalk. 22nd, Keith Brooks Jr. 23rd was Eric Arnold. 24th was Thomas George. 25th tonight was Guy Snyder. 26th, Scott Stenzel. 27th, Jose Gonzalez. 28th went to Nathan Bowers. 29th to Jose Malbran. And 30th, Jonathan Cadell. Had that tough run at the start of this race and ends up 87 laps down at the finish. But our congratulations go out to series points leader Eric Brundy's. He picks up his 3rd win of the season, 4th career win on the series for the Fast 94 here tonight. And want to say a special thank you to all the guys at RSR, RealSimRacing.com, and to Garry Mercer Trucking, the sponsor of tonight's event and the presenting sponsor for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. And for Tim Masters and our executive producer, Laura Lawson, I'm Jacob Seelman, reminding all you race fans out there to keep it off the wall until we meet again, and we'll see you on the service next time from Michigan International Speedway. This is Live Sim Racing TV. Until next Monday, so long.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks and terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.